Hello, cycling friends. Bill here from CX Airs Media, and on this video, we are going to count down the top 10 most important moments in Wout van Aert's cycling career. For this list, I tried to put my cyclocross bias aside and rank Wout's accomplishments on where they sit in the greater cycling ecosystem. Wout will always be cyclocross's indie darling, and we got to see him in all the cool races before you even knew he existed. But that doesn't mean I'm going to begrudge the man his major label fame. This video is being produced the same day Wout won the final time trial at the 2021 Tirreno Adriatico, so anything that happens after that point will have to be saved for the 2022 version of this list. Alright, let's get to it, starting with number 10. Remember that the title of this video is Wout's most important moments in cycling. Not his greatest moments or even his best moments, his most important moments. And every memorable story of greatness is built on a low point, a time of adversity. And a big one came for Van Aert at the U23 Belgian National Cyclocross Championships in 2014. For everyone watching, and probably many racing, this one was in the books before it started. Van Aert was the favorite going away. This race was just a warm-up for the more important World Championship battle still to come. As the light started to turn from red to green, the left side of the front row flinched, and the most notable flincher was Van Aert. A false start, the rarest of rarities in cyclocross, was called, and that meant an automatic disqualification. Despite his pleading and arguing, Wout was escorted off the starting grid. A devastated Van Aert could not believe what was happening, and even tried to cheat reality by breaking free of the judge's grasp to chase down the field. He quickly came to his senses, rode off the track, and was left to watch the race from the sidelines in disbelief and disappointment. The reason this moment is important is because it may be the last time we ever see Van Aert lose his cool. A racer who has built his reputation on overcoming any obstacle and enduring the worst of conditions once lost control. And it hasn't happened again. And that brings us to number 9, and the 2014 U23 Cyclocross World Championships. A month after the start line meltdown, Wout puts it all behind him, and as he put it, answered with the pedals, by winning his first World Championship, and also his first World Championship over lifelong rival Mathieu van der Poel. And he did it at Van der Poel's home venue in Hoogerheide. For number 8, we are jumping 3 years ahead to the 2017 Cyclocross World Championships in Beals, Luxembourg, the legendary Green Tires race. Long before they were sprinting to the finish line of Flanders, Mathieu van der Poel and Wout van Aert were already establishing cycling's version of Schumacher versus Hakkinen. While van der Poel seemed to have the upper hand on a week-by-week basis, when it came to the World Championship, Wout would rise to the occasion. On a sketchy track that punished riders with crashes and multiple flat tires, Van der Poel flatted 4 times to Wout's 1 that day. Wout fell behind early, caught back on, and ultimately overcame his rival to take his second Elite World Championship. While everyone talked about Wout's green Michelin Mud Dugas as being the X factor, it was more his mastery of the course and the conditions and his cool head that won the day. At number 7, we are going to switch to the road bike for the 2019 Tour de France. It started out as a dreamlike debut in the Tour de France, with Wout helping his Jumbo-Visma team win the Stage 2 time trial before winning on his own in Stage 10. But what will be remembered of Wout from this tour is not those victories, but his horrific crash on Stage 13 that resulted in a severe leg injury that would keep him sidelined for the foreseeable future. It even looked at the time as the type of damage that could limit his future prospects. This is another one of those important rather than greatest moments. Important because at number 6 is the 2020 Lille cyclocross race, which took place 7 months after the Stage 13 crash in the Tour de France, a relatively short time considering the injury sustained and the amount of training in Wout's still healing body. Starting from the 3rd row, Van Aert moved to the front and proceeded to leave everyone behind to finish 20 seconds ahead. After the race, Wout said that it was confirmation that after the horrendous injury, he could still do it. It might not be my biggest victory, he said, but it certainly feels like it. And for that reason, we're going to call it his 6th most important. Moving on to number 5, and back to the Cyclocross World Championships. The 2018 Valkenburg World Championship was a mudder's dream. The track was brutal and the conditions atrocious. They were Wout van Aert conditions. Rival Van der Poel came into Valkenburg the favorite, despite Wout already owning the World Championship jersey from 2017. Even Wout only gave himself a 1 in 4 chance to win, at least publicly. He also knew Van der Poel would try to win the race in the first lap, which he almost did. But Wout held on and soon went out front to prove his dominance in the mud. Even if he never raced on the dirt again, Van Aert's performance at Valkenburg, dominating a generational talent and rival for a third time at Worlds, ensured his spot among the all-time greats in cyclocross. In at number 4, and we are sticking with cyclocross and the World Championships. We just saw Wout's latest cyclocross World Championship. Now we're going to look at his first. The 2016 World Championships at Zolder featured favorites like Sven Nys and Lars van der Haar, but showcased the young guns, Mathieu van der Poel and Wout van Aert. Van der Poel beat Van Aert in their first World Showdown at the elite level in 2015. In this edition, all eyes were back on those two, and everything was going to plan until midway through the race when Van der Poel got the uphill off-camber wrong and put his shoe and foot through Van Aert's front wheel. As the two favorites worked to disentangle limbs from bikes, Lars van der Haar scampered away. What happened next continues to define the two biggest names in cyclocross and recently on the road. The shoe incident seemed to ignite a fire in Van Aert, who took after Van der Haar like a man on a mission, and it extinguished Van der Poel, who never really recovered and looked to have given up the fight. Overcoming one of the craziest moments ever at a World Championship, Van Aert chased down Van der Haar, passed him, and went on to win his biggest and most important race to date, the Elite Cyclocross World Championship. And here we are at number 3. We already learned that in 2019, Wout was a Tour de France curio that turned into a tragic story. In 2020, he was a star. Everyone knew what to call the Belgian with the good hair, and Wout didn't disappoint. A mainstay in the mountains, helping his team leader, Wout was also able to showcase his sprinting abilities, winning Stage 5 by freelancing off the Sunweb team, and in Stage 7, he survived brutal winds and a wave of echelons that split the field to take another sprint finish. Wout's performance at last year's Tour not only had everyone speculating about what he could do this year, but also dusting off their cyclocross bikes, since that was obviously the new hack to cycling victory. For our second most important moment, we are heading to Italy for the classic that should be a monument, Strada Bianca. The race that entered the World's Tour calendar in 2017 and is known for its long stretches of white gravel and brutal uphill finishing climb has quickly become a rider and fan favorite. In 2018, Van Aert's first attempt at Strada, he was off the front with Romain Bardet when they were caught and passed by eventual winner Thies Benoot. Wout ended up third in that race, but it's more important how he ended up third. Suffering for the final 50 kilometers, Van Aert, whose mind had willed his body time and time again to do things it didn't want to, had the tables turn as his body refused to continue, cramping up on the ultimate climb and forcing Van Aert to call on his cyclocross skills to dismount and run his bike. But in true Wout van Aert fashion, that experience only fueled his drive in 2019, where he again finished third, and ultimately to 2020, where he charged up the final Strade climb solo to take his biggest victory to date and give him the confidence to beat the best in the one-day classics. Which brings us to the biggest and most important moment in Wout van Aert's career, which came just 1 week after his Strada Bianca victory. The 2020 edition of Milan-San Remo found Wout van Aert and Julian Alaphilippe, the third wheel in the Van Aert and Van der Poel rivalry, going off the front. After both riders had scary moments on the Cipressa, Alaphilippe attacked the Poggio and Van Aert hung on for dear life. With the peloton breathing down their neck at the line, Alaphilippe and Van Aert sprinted for the finish, with Van Aert taking his first monument by mere inches. And that was Wout van Aert's most important cycling moment so far. As much as cyclocross made the man, it is undeniable that the road has created the legend. Let us know what your favorite Wout moments are in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please also subscribe to the channel and share it. Until next time, cycling friends.